I'm bored. Let's read a book. Oh!
As the summer drew to a close, some things improved. As far as practice went, de Morsel had been right. So long as I concentrated just on defense with the staff, nothing happened, and I got better, so much better, that even Gilberto couldn't break through. Then he taught me how to use the staff against blades, and that was interesting. Why a swordsman would ever want to take on someone trained with a long staff was beyond me, but Gilberto assured me that some would. So I listened. Even there, I could barely make one move toward him. I was almost disappointed that he didn't pair me against Tamra, but he just grunted and said, "You're as good as you'll ever need to be with the staff and truncheons. Now you just need to learn about blades." That was worse than the staff had been. Every inch of my body seemed to have welts from wooden blades. I must have used more hot water in 2 to 8 days than in my whole life. This time I improved faster, though, because I decided my whole use of any blade was to weave an impenetrable defense. I'd never hold out against a really skilled blade master, but the idea was to learn enough to defend against the common ruffian types. Gilberto insisted I learn attacks. I was terrible. Why bother? He insisted. There are many times when an attack is a defense, and your body will recognize those times. You need to learn these automatically. Occasionally, as a respite, he let me spar with the staff against Crystal and Merton and Dorothy. That was more for their benefit in case they were faced with the staff, but it was still interesting. Only Crystal ever came close to touching me. Of course, I couldn't attack much, but occasionally I found I could tap them lightly in embarrassing places. Crystal laughed. Merton looked more like an angry buffalo. Think it's funny, do you? I couldn't help grinning, and strangely, he grinned back. Young old Magister, you're still a good kid. A good kid. Not sure I ever would have called myself that. Or a Magister. Me? But outside of the physical training, things got worse, or didn't improve. Magister Toronto left and was replaced by a smiling man named Lennet, who immediately launched into discussions on the theory of order. The theory of order? Who cared about the theory of order? Magister Lennet did, it turned out, and he insisted that we did, especially Tamara and me. Tamara smiled sweetly and asked polite questions. Does that mean that a chaos magician must employ order? Her voice was almost dipped in honey as she leaned towards him. She eased forward on the gray pillow where she sat. How she had found a gray pillow, I didn't know. The rest of us used brown. Exactly, bubbled Lennet. His eyes danced. My stomach turned a sickly sweet tone. Even to manipulate chaos requires the use of order. In essence, a chaos magician sets up fundamental conflict by his very They are at war within themselves? Asked Tamara. That was obvious, but why did Tamara keep playing up to him? Why chaos magicians have short lifespans unless they use other methods to artificially prolong their existence. And few have the talent. Fewer can still master the order-chaos conflict on that plane. I thought about reading the book my father had tucked away, but I never got around to it. Besides, in traveling, I suspected I would have more than enough time to read. And Laris! Yes? Can you explain the magic reality strength theorem? I repressed a sigh. That's the idea that the greater the magical composition of a construct, the less strength it has compared to something made out of natural materials by hand, rather than by magic. And what does that mean? Lennet smiled back around the room. Merton was running his hand through his unruly black hair, while Dorothy looked at Merton. and Crystal looked toward the afternoon clouds. Samuel tried to stifle a yawn. Tamara smiled brightly. It means that magic can diffuse strength or material over a greater area, but it cannot build things that last. So, what else is new? Chaos magic was great for destroying things, but you still had to hire stonecutters and masons to build anything. That is not precisely correct, as you, he glanced from Tamara to me, will discover. Merton snickered. Order magic can be used to enhance natural strength, both by providing a defense against chaos and by strengthening the internal order of substances. Magister Lennet shook his head. But that is really a subject of advanced study. The important point, as Tamara has noted, is that an equivalently armed individual can prevail against a number of magical constructs, provided that you are adequately trained and weaponed. Magister? Asked Camel. What about the cases like the power of the ancient wizards of Freven, or the White Knights? Lannet shook his head. You are confusing two aspects of chaos. In pure destruction, or chaos magic, that is, loosening the bonds of order which hold all materials together, chaos cannot be successfully opposed, except by three factors. First is will. Your will to survive prevents any direct magical attack on your person except by the strongest of chaos magicians. You are still subject to temptation, and that is another issue entirely. Second is the natural strength of materials. A young person generally has a greater resistance to magic, as does a building built of the strongest stone and best braced timbers. Third is order magic itself, which can suffuse all things with the strengthening of internal bonds. What Lennet said was probably true enough, but it was also generally meaningless. Only a strong magician would ever try a personal attack. Anyone using magical constructs would not employ them unless they were equipped with superior weapons. The White Knights had swords that would have made most great warriors darn near invincible. I remembered that from my lessons with Magister Kerwin. The greatest strength of chaos is its ability to thwart complexity. Is that why most nations don't use much steam machinery? Tamara smiled brightly once again. Ren snorted audibly. I tried to relax. Theory was fine, but I for one was getting very tired of both Tamara's phoniness and of Magister Lennet's enthusiasm for explaining the obvious and avoiding the explanations behind the obvious. What was order magic? And how did it strengthen internal bonds? Why did no one admit to practicing it? For that matter, how did chaos magic work? Magister Lennet kept asking questions, and I began to think about Kandar and what I would have to do, and what I might face there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on any of these videos. See y'all in the next one. Goodbye!